Ruby Moo's Deep Sea Adventure. Ruby Moo was bored being part of the herd. She didn't belong. While the other cows made yogurt, cheese, and milk, Ruby Moo dreamed of exciting things. She wanted to be the first cow in space, to scale snowy mountains, and to explore Aztec ruins. But more than anything, she wanted to be the first cow deep sea diver. Staring down into the water trough, Ruby Moo would imagine herself in a diver's helmet. Battling against a terrible giant squid, she let out a snort. Would she ever see the sea? Ruby Moo was losing her mind in the tiny field. A plan began to form. She would escape. Quietly, she snuck into the dairy fan, knowing that it went to the seaside. It wasn't long before the fan arrived and Ruby Moo was able to sneak out. After being in the dark fan, it took a while for Ruby Moo's eyes to adjust. But when they did, she saw a beautiful sight. A pebbly beach and the sea, blue, inviting, and whispering of adventures. She snuck over to the diving hut. Ruby Moo wasn't one to steal things, so she decided to just borrow a diving helmet for the day. Putting on the helmet, she waded out to sea. Ruby Moo's adventure was about to begin. Who knew what discoveries she would make? Floating in the water, she saw brightly colored fish. An eel wrapped itself around her helmet. Ruby Moo gently brushed it off. Diving deeper, the water became darker and spookier. There, in the gloom, she made out the shape of a shipwreck. Ruby Moo was excited by the possibility of finding all their treasures. Finding a hole in the ship, she squeezed in. Seaweed tentacles reached out to grab her, and small silvery fish dashed in and out of portholes. Swimming from room to room, Ruby Moo couldn't find any treasure. But she was having so much fun, it didn't matter. She was the first cow deep sea diver. Then, something slipperily crawled around her leg. It was a giant squid. It had fearsome teeth and glinting eyes. Ruby Moo was terrified. The squid came closer. Ruby Moo shook with fear. She was about to be eaten by one gulp. Then suddenly, the squid spoke. "Hello. Would you like to play a game of chess?" A shocked Ruby Moo didn't expect a terrifying giant squid to play board games. After 2 games of chess, followed by a bounce on the squid's trampoline, they called it an afternoon. Exhausted from all the adventure and fun, Ruby Moo swam to the shore. She put the diving helmet back where she found it and snuck into the dairy van. Back home, the dairy operations continued. If only the other cows could have seen her exploring the shipwreck and playing chess with not so fearsome giant squid. Ruby Moo decided that from that day on she would never give up exploring. Next stop, the moon.